Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone. This is Sisel Doctor's Clinic, and your host today, DW. And by the way, DW, everyone is on.
Well, I'll tell you what, we just want to welcome everyone to the Doctor's Clinic call. This is Daniel Whited coming at you live tonight from Vail, Colorado. And just so excited about what's going on with Sisel and Sisel International and in our World Conference that we have coming up, which is absolutely a life changer. But tonight we're going to get into a topic, and we've got just an absolutely life changer special guest with us tonight, and the couple of Kurt Fisnick is also in the house, and just have a lot of love and appreciation for him. But we're going to make some house calls tonight, and this is the Doctor's Clinic where the world is your waiting room, and we're excited to be with you. So, Dr. Kurt Fisnick, do you want to introduce yourself? You want me to help you do that, my friend?
Well, DW and Rob, thanks for hosting this call every single week. I sure enjoy being here and sharing my knowledge, whatever knowledge I have on what we can do. But, the last 3 weeks we've done what DW you've called the house calls, where we're going out and doing testimonials. And holy cow, I mean, I didn't realize that resveratrol was so powerful. I didn't realize that our product, Eternity, was so powerful, and the results that we've seen, the stories that we've heard in the last 2 weeks have just been amazing. So instead of trying to explain it, with a little bit of knowledge that I have on resveratrol, what I did is I asked the man, I asked the scientist, probably one of the smartest people that we'll ever meet, to be on the phone with us tonight and just share his knowledge about resveratrol and what it can do for people. And so without further ado, Tom Maurer, if you would join us and share your knowledge on resveratrol.
Well, I'm here, and hello, everybody. This is an amazing thing. I'm sitting here in an arena watching my daughter taking her lessons on horses where she's doing hunter jumping, and yet I can jump on and do this call. It's really an amazing world that we live in now, to where we can do this, and it goes all over, and no matter what you're doing, you can be an active part of their business. But yes, resveratrol is one of the single greatest discoveries in the history of human health. It's called the French paradox. And what happened originally is they were looking at people and health hazards, and they found that the French had lower rates of heart attacks and stroke than the average race did, or country. And they thought it didn't go parallel with their food, because they drink a lot of wine, they ate a lot of fatty foods and things of that, and yet they should have had higher heart attack rates, more cholesterol, and they actually had less. So as they examined it, they found out it was because they drank red wine, and in red wine was an ingredient called resveratrol. So immediately they started to look to see, well, if we can take resveratrol and if it can reduce heart attacks, how does it do it? And it reduces cholesterol and things of that nature, and it was very good for diabetes and all of those things. So they started to concentrate it and to see if they could develop enough to take it to get a drug approval. Now, you wouldn't get a drug approval on resveratrol because it's a natural ingredient and it's God-given, and the government say that any natural ingredient can't be patented. So they're going to try and find out how it works and then make a synthetic molecule to mimic what it does. But as you know, with pharmaceuticals, they have to have synthetic molecules to patent. But then there's a lot of side effects that come with them because they are not the same as the natural ingredient they're trying to duplicate. And about half of them pharmaceuticals come from natural medicines that are found, and then they try to make a synthetic so they can patent it and justify putting $1 billion into research, sometimes $2 billion, over a period of 13 to 15 years. And that's one of the reasons the drugs are so expensive, is because the approval process is really quite ridiculous and time-consuming. But anyways, they concentrated. They found one thing. First, they start with very low life forms, and then they start to increase it up and move on to from things like even and types of reptiles, and they move into mammals. And they found that it didn't matter what species of animal or variety that it was. The more that you got to a certain point, they were trying to see what is the lethal dose. How much can you give them before they get a certain amount that dies. And there was no lethal dose on it, which I was really quite amazed. And so as they kept increasing it, they found one thing, that types of life forms with a very short lifespan were living 2 and 3 times longer. And so as they took it into mammals, they found that mice that lived about 2 years were living 3 to 4 years, and the same went with rabbits, and then they went right up through it. So they got doing studies on humans and primates, and they found that in primates they were increasing the lifespan by almost half again more. And so and the ones that were older were actually starting to regenerate so fast that they were becoming younger as it went on. So this study went on for a number of years, and it was done by the most prestigious university and medical school in the world, Harvard Medical School. And when they were done with it, they published their studies, and the big pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline came in and bought the research they did for about $730 million. Now, the reason they did that is because that research had been done, and they want to develop a synthetic drug, but they could use that research, so it was worth almost $750 million to save them that much time and that much research to develop a synthetic molecule. And that was done quite a few years ago. But alas, they have not been able to find anything they've been able to synthesize that would work like resveratrol. So the research is still going on to do that, but nothing has been found that would do it. But here it is, this natural ingredient. So what we did is we looked at the science that was being discovered, and numbers of years ago, I went in and decided to make this product. Now, in looking at all the varieties of research, I realized that I could make it the same about as what they did at Harvard Medical School, but actually I could make it better. But now's the point to step in and clarify. While they did all of these studies and the things that it did, which I'm going to talk to you about, the ingredient, we can't say that our formulation does that because it hasn't been tested for that. And the idea with the Food and Drug Administration is that you have to go through this testing protocol in order to make a claim of a structure function claim, which is what they call a drug claim. Now, it can be an over-the-counter drug, just like toothpaste is an over-the-counter drug, and so are sunscreens. They've been approved, but most of them are prescription drugs because they have so much serious side effects. So anyway, I looked at all the studies that they had done and how to make it more effective, what concentrations work better, what other varieties or things could you do with it to improve the performance, and I came out with a super formulation. It was built basically upon the science done at Harvard Medical School, but I've added other things to it to make it extremely effective. But all we can really say with it is that it supports human health, and it can help you to feel better. But the one thing about aging is it's not a disease, so you can say that it slows down the aging process and perhaps even reverses the aging process. Now, those aren't the things that they're going to do in a prescription drug because those aren't structure function claims, because aging is not a disease. Consequently, we've built this super formulation. So now we'll talk about, but this is just to talk about resveratrol in itself. So resveratrol in itself is extracted from one of two ways. You can have it so that it comes from grape skin, and that's where it came from, red grape skin. The other thing is that it can come from something called Chinese knotweed. And the Chinese knotweed is high in resveratrol too. And the Chinese have used it for thousands of years in what kind of product? Life enhancement, so that they could, longevity products and things of that nature, and for the heart. So as they found that resveratrol, and we'll talk about that real quick so you can get some of the bullet points of it. And remember, legally you can tell people about things like this and show them the studies, but you cannot say that your product gets related to your product or your formulation does that. So let's be clear about that, so don't make false claims. But let's talk about what resveratrol has been shown to do. The one thing they found in their studies, as the cells took it in, it would activate what they call sirtuin genes. And those sirtuin genes, there were about 52 at the time they knew that it could activate. Now, those genes are the ones that are really running full speed when you're younger, and they make you so that you grow and become healthy and all of those things. And so when you get to a certain age, about 23 for women, 25 for men, those sirtuin genes either slow down or virtually shut off as you get older and older, and aging starts to accelerate. But what resveratrol was doing was activating those sirtuin genes, and they started creating the biological effects that you had when you were younger. So there you started slowing down aging and even reversing aging, a lot of the biological functions as it went along. But one thing, and so companies started using resveratrol, and some started making it, but almost all of them did it wrong because it's vulnerable to heat, light, and oxygen. So much of it that's being processed is destroyed before it's ever even got to the customer in the capsule or in the formulation. But we found that just like in nature, in a liquid form, like in red wine, it could be preserved, but you need to do some things. So we've gone through the process of preserving it. We don't use oxygen, we don't use heat, and we don't use light. We fill it in a nitrogen container, a mixing tank that's filled with nitrogen, displaces the oxygen. Even the bottles that it's put in is filled with nitrogen first, and then it's filled from the bottom up so that it can be free of oxygen, and it will keep its integrity. But the other thing that companies don't know, and they just make resveratrol products, is they don't realize it's a synergistic combination of 3 other ingredients that are found within red wine or Chinese knotweed that work together on sirtuin genes, just like you have fingers that play the keys on the piano. These 4 different compounds, which is resveratrol, quercetin, catechins, and polyphenols, all expand, or they have an agonistic effect. They'll contact the gene and release their energy in their cell signaling, and then they'll turn around, and when it's lost its energy, one of the others will come and knock it off and release its energy, and another and another. So to have a powerful formulation that really worked, you needed adequate levels of all 4 of these working together with resveratrol to maximize it. So that's what we did. And then we saw a study where resveratrol could be absorbed about 250 times more if you would nanosize it, and take, instead of being big clumps, it would be down in the nano size. And then if you'd hold it within your mouth for about a minute, that resveratrol would be transmucosal, and you could, and it gets damaged in the intestinal tract to quite a degree, but transmucosally it goes right through. So we did all that, but then we looked at what can you do within the digestive tract to protect it when it gets there. Well, you can incorporate in what's called a nanosome. It's a coating that the digestive system can't break down until it passes from the large intestine into the small one where it can be absorbed. It's preserved and protected. So you can see what we're doing with ours is a very complex formula, but yet we can't make drug claims, but there are tremendous numbers of things that it does. In fact, the University of at least resveratrol does. The University of Connecticut School of Medicine tested on people with heart attacks, and the damage from a heart attack comes after the heart attack. And they found that if they are in animal studies they were using, that if there was a heart attack, then if they were on resveratrol, the damage did not occur after the heart attack. So they called it chemoprotective, or protective for the heart, cardioprotective, excuse me. But then in studies with things like cancer, they found that it was also chemoprotective. It would make chemotherapy work better, and it would protect the body from more damage from it. So it's an amazing compound, and it's one that can create energy and affect your biological systems and all of those things. So that's my message in a nutshell tonight. It's a powerful formulation. It's used in extreme concentrations with what we have. We have all 4 ingredients in it. We've nanosized it. We've nano-encapsulated it. And we believe we have the most powerful formulation on Earth to support your body. There's nothing like it. And if you go to PubMed and you read the stories on resveratrol, or the studies that have been there and been reported, you'll find it has a really thousands and thousands of them now. When we first started, there were less than 100. Now there's 4,000 or 5,000 studies. So science is really looking into this, but they can't find anything synthetic to do what it did. So here we have what I think is by far a product that is not better than, but that is vastly superior to anything else on Earth, and you can buy it for a very reasonable price. It's delicious to take, and you can have all those biological effects. So I want to thank all of you for calling tonight. Listen to me, and I'll turn the call back to DW or Doc or whoever's running it.
Well, Tom, thanks for being on the call. I know that you're busy with your daughter and taking some time out to be with us tonight. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Kirk Fisnick, how awesome was that? This is DW here, and, when we begin to think about the resveratrol, it was almost, I'm trying to think, it was back in 2008 that I first heard of a guy, out of Australia. He was a researcher, and he was just one of those guys that researched day and night, and I was able to listen to him talk, and he goes, we got to get this product. We got to get this product in the company. We got to get this product in the company. And there's a lot of people that will carry a product like this that not. And, if I had a question for Tom, it would be about the potency. But it's a powerful product. Let me tell you something. My dad's a hard guy to fool. He's a hard guy to mess with. And the number 2 products that he orders every single month that he wants no matter what, and it's the resveratrol and the brain vitality. He said his body responds better to those 2 products right now at his age, and he's 83 or 84 now? He's the same age as your dad, so you can. Yeah, we just got to remember one dad, one age. We got it here with Helen and I, but Doc, that's amazing that his body at his age it responds to that product because the purity and the power and the potency of what Tom has done and how he builds that product with nanotechnology. And Doc, you've got some things you want to say. If you want me to jump in and talk a little bit about that, I can. But, man, I'm excited about it. Totally jazzed out of my gourd what resveratrol can do for all of us, and especially those that are, hitting their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Back at you, Doc.
Hey, DW, I was just going to say that, my dad, he's 78 years old, and same 2 products. The Eternity and the Brain Vitality. He tells me, he says he can feel the difference when he takes them. He never misses them. He takes some other products as well, but he never misses the Brain Vitality. He never misses the Eternity. And, this listening to what Tom has to say, everybody that's on the call, those of you that are listening to this recorded call, you just think about it, the powerfulness of what we're having, and it increased the blood flow, and we can't make medical claims, but the studies just support that there's just this magic for heart support. And what it does, it supports the delicate layers of the blood vessels, the endothelium. It supports that delicate layer of the blood vessel. It helps your body so it produces nitric oxide, right? We've all heard of nitric oxide and how important it is for optimal dilation of the blood vessels. That's going to get so you're protecting the blood vessels, you're having the right dilation, and what that does, it gets the red blood cells to where they're supposed to be. Like Tom was saying, I was looking online tonight. I just wanted to find out how many studies are on resveratrol. Over 4,400 studies on resveratrol right now on how it protects the body, and we can go through and we can talk about all the different things that it did. Like when we heard Sarah and we heard Rachel talking about what it did for them in their breast health. We can't say that it cures, but one of the things the studies say that it helps with cancer cell replication. It helps slow down the replication. It even causes apoptosis. All right, and it increases the blood flow, so it gets your body so you can get the nutrition to the cells where it's supposed to be. There's some new studies that are coming out that talks about using resveratrol for appendicitis, peritonitis, and here's one that you'll appreciate, DW, is the systemic sepsis. Where you're having inflammation and infection all across the body, and inflammation is good because that's how your body takes care of injuries and infections and things like that. But chronic inflammation is not good. And that's where resveratrol really shines because it helps with getting rid of this chronic inflammation. So, DW, with the information that we had from Tom tonight, the information that you've shared, and then this little bit of information that I've thrown in there, I encourage everybody, if you haven't listened to the last 3 weeks of the house calls, the testimonials that we had, every single person that did a testimonial, there's one common link that I heard. Everybody takes resveratrol. Go back and listen to the last 3 weeks. I'll have Rob and Rob Cohen will jump on and he'll share where everybody can go and listen to these recordings on the website. He'll have it posted in just a few minutes after the call. But DW, I'm going to have to hand it back to you. Thanks for being here every week.
Well, I'll tell you what, Doc, we appreciate that. And what's going on with resveratrol, everyone, is it's a life changer. It is a total, complete game changer for you. I mean, of course, we're not going to promise it's going to cure or heal anything, but, man, the studies speak for themselves. When you do the studies and do the research, and real quick, Marianne might be available. Marianne, can you take 60 seconds, maybe 120 seconds max? What is your thoughts on the results you're seeing with some of the resveratrol that's going on out there?
Two things I want to share real quick. Thanks for having me on the call. I absolutely love this call. But just today, well, on Sunday, there was a little baby who had RSV, and came home, and I did two studies, one on RSV and resveratrol, and 630 studies came up where RSV will help to battle resveratrol will help to battle RSV. And then also with fucoidan, not sure how many studies. They took those two papers along into the hospital. They didn't have to show them to the doctors, but here's what's very interesting. Usually doctors would give babies steroids when they would come in with RSV. This baby did not get any. It just got oxygen. As soon as they brought it home, immediately they put it on fucoidan and resveratrol. It is a life changer. One more quick thing. I sent studies into Hershey Medical Center with resveratrol and fucoidan, both of those with spinal meningitis, and the doctors allowed them to give the baby those two, and it changed the baby's life. They were going to put it on steroids because of its seizures that it was having. The seizures disappeared, and I think that the resveratrol and the fucoidan allowed the body to heal itself so that it would not have to have those steroids that they wanted to give it. Back to you. It is so powerful, but back to you, Dee.
Well, you talked about one of the most powerful, most awesome products that we have our hands on is the resveratrol. More studies are coming out. Doc has called me more than once and talking about how, it lines your body up to where you could take on some of the challenges that are out there and gives you a fighting chance of possibly winning. And that is, that's a big deal. And the side effects, oh, that's right, there is none. You're going to get healthier. I mean, are you kidding me? Compare side effects. Just sit down with your pharmacist and compare side effects. It's unreal. But now how you're going to take the product is like this. If you're really sick, you're going to take probably maybe a quarter of an ounce 3 times a day is the recommended dosage. If you're sick, if you're really sick, going through challenges, you may want to double that up. But you're going to put it under your tongue and let it sit there and absorb and soak because it has nanotechnology. It begins to go into the through the bottom of it. It's just kind of like if somebody had a nitro pill and they were having a heart attack and they wanted to, get the heart from contracting, they take a nitro pill, put it on their tongue, it dissolves and goes to the heart immediately. And within 10, 15 seconds, it stops it. Well, this is medication, for the cardiovascular system, the heart, the whole bit. It has that same kind of technology. It causes the absorbability to be, just massive. I mean, you're going to absorb it 200 sometimes more. It's also equivalent to if you go get the resveratrol grape and wine, and of course ours has 0 alcohol in it because that question comes up once in a while. But it would be like having 274 glasses of wine at one full dose, which is 3/4 of an ounce. I'm just telling you, you want to get your hands on this. Get with the person that got you here. Get your own personal research done. You can, if it has a Sisel stamp on it, then it means it's Sisel safe. It's not a slogan. It's a promise. And there's no hazard materials, no toxin materials, nothing that's going to give you any adverse effects. It's also designed and built in what we call resveratrol eternity, and it's called essential eternity, which has 0 energy components. So docs may want, a mom that's pregnant or nursing to take that type of eternity, and because it's just 0 energy component. The others has an energy component in it, but it's natural. It's like the same amount of energy you get out of a handful of grapes, but there is it in it. So Tom's actually, went to the expense of building both, and that's just because he cares. I mean, it's real simple. Tom Meyer cares. Dr. Kirk Fisnick cares. Rob Cohan on this call tonight that sets it up and helps us do it all. He cares. Miss Helen and I, we care. Marianne, who pops on once in a while, she really cares. And the person invited you to this call, you know why you're on this call? You know why you're hearing this right now? Because they care, and they care about you, and they just wish that you would just listen, and because they want you healthy, because the greatest gift you can give your entire family is your health. And resveratrol was a great, incredible place to start. You grab the Sequoia with that, then add the Spectromax, and you got what we call the triangle of life, and now you're giving yourself an edge in life that most people will never have. Well, thanks for being part of the Doctor's Clinic. And Dr. Kurt Fisnick, if you have something to say to close out, let us know. If not, everybody's getting complete double hugs from us, and fantastic to hear from Tom Meyer Sr. and Dr. Kurt Fisnick set that up and made that happen, and we just appreciate it, Doc, and we appreciate all that you're doing, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate everybody being there.
Yeah, we're there for you, and you're there for us, and you just get so much good feedback about what you're doing and the difference that you're making. Everybody, thanks for being part of the Doctor's Clinic, where every Tuesday night we make house calls. We come to your living room. We come straight smack dab wherever you are, whether you're in an arena and at a horse competition, or you're in Vail, Colorado, or you're on the road. We're there for you. We love you. We'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place, new topic. Over and out.